Hello my magnificent lot, it's Megagran here again with another episode from Vintage Beast Patreon server Vintagecraft, and this is series 4. Now then, I've a lot to catch up on because I've played far too much this last couple of weeks and I want to show you all that I've been up to. So pay attention, otherwise you'll miss stuff. So, because Smurf and Rascal won't be on for a while, I decided to keep myself busy by setting up a temporary base. So I wandered around to see what was at my disposal was one of the things that I needed to do. So treading much more carefully than usual because of the new terrain generation, which seemed to have many more of those little traps that you fall in, you know, one block, bottomless. Yes, got to keep your eye out for those. This was a funny thing, a fence all of its own, nothing in it. Very odd. All the chests had something in them, of course. And I wanted everything. Books, taters. Ooh, a blacksmith. So I potted in to see what delicacies there were in the chest. Oh, okay, well that's fine. I needed some pants, so pants came in useful. I would have liked a few diamonds, but you know, you can't have everything I suppose. I'll have that golden horse armour though, very blingy. And thinking ahead of all the achievements on here, I wasted no time in taming this tabby. It didn't take much, and it didn't take long. There you go, it was mine. So I went round, getting everything that I could, like you do when you visit villages. And being back in a village brought back all the memories of pesky villagers and their pesky behaviour. So those doors would have to come off, and I replaced them very quickly with gates. So having evicted said villager, I quickly changed my doors to gates. I then had a wander around the village, just to see what the environment was like, and trying to dodge the odd mob that had survived under the shadows of the trees. Another achievement got, and I had my eye on that bow. It was enchanted. Would it give it up? No, it wouldn't. Just a bone and some arrows. I then thought I'd turn my hand at a little bit of caving, taking many torches with me, making sure that I went round corners carefully, because you never know, you know. Now I'm not a very good orienteer, so when I came up here and I saw this shipwreck, I did have to work out whether it was the one that I'd already been to or whether it was a new one. In the end, I figured out it was one I'd already been to. Then I spotted kelp, and thinking about how far down we had to go and how far back we had to come up when we did mining, I thought I'd grab some while I was here. And I kept an ear out for any hostiles, because I'd heard that the rivers were infested with them. It was while I was examining a surface cave that I came across a spawner. Unusually, I thought, there wasn't a lot of mobs around the place, so whether that's because there was some light from the sky, I have no idea. But it was fortunate enough for me, and it was a zombie spawner. Ooh, what was I going to get? I got some name tags, so that was good, and a few fruit and veg seeds, always healthy, and, well, there wasn't anything spectacular really. What about the other one? Bit of string, but again, nothing spectacular. Golden apple, that wasn't too bad, but I was having trouble fitting everything in. Oh my goodness, inventory space. So I duly marked where the spawner was, in case I wanted to come back and do something with it. Well, you never know, do you? And I found all these big holes absolutely fascinating. Look at this one. It appears bottomless. Wow. But I wasn't about to dive in. Not yet. Thinking about my inventory, I tried at every opportunity to get some ender pearls. Oh, but I needed to work on my timing. That wasn't very good. And in the end, unfortunately, all I got from him was a block of dirt. Thank you, Enderman. I must say, caving in 1.18 is quite addictive. Once you start, it's hard to stop, because you always want to see what's around the corner. But you got to keep those eyes in the back of your head, otherwise you could easily become a cropper. And no matter how many swipes of my sword, he was getting me just as much as I was getting him. I need to practice my timing. Oh dear. And it wasn't long before I got myself into a bit of a sticky wicket. Totally forgetting how useful torches were for stopping mobs spawning round spawners, I went for the blocking tactic instead. even though I knew there was a spider in the vicinity out to get me. And then, of course, what happened to my shield? I had it there, but I wasn't using it. Oh dear, what am I like? Now it was time to block. So when I'd had some sustenance, I worked on that to try and make sure that nothing else interrupted me while I examined my booty. And this one had a saddle in it, so I was quite excited about that, but still had a problem with inventory space. So I had to do some juggling to fit everything in and make a little bit of space for the other chest. But there wasn't anything spectacular in that. It's a lot of music, this. That wasn't too bad, was it? And as time went on, I was compelled to explore a little bit more and go a little bit deeper. But it was really scary how far you could fall if you missed a step. And I was finding quite a lot of twists and turns, even on these surface caves. In fact, they seem to lure you in more than ever. And then I came across my third spawner, spotting the telltale cobblestone out of the corner of my eye. And it did seem that mobs didn't spawn as often, but there were still the environmental dangers to contend with. Oh, that was so satisfying. Now, I needed to get to that spawner. And unlike the other two, the skellies were spawning from it. So I needed to be a bit more careful on this one. So I went forward quite tentatively, lighting up as I went, and being careful to look everywhere, have eyes everywhere. I'd assumed it was a skelly spawner because of the skellies around it, and I was correct. So once I'd blocked it off, I went round and made sure that everything was lit up around it. And I had a plan to do some toe tickling, which I think for skellies and me is probably the best way to go. So down I went, and I made sure to block up behind me. And again, there wasn't a whole host of skellies in there, but just the one. So that was quite good. And that wasn't too bad. So I got rid of him and raced in to see what goodies were in the chests. Oh, another name tag and another record to add to my collection. Ooh, a book. Respiration 2. That's not too bad, is it? So I put a sign on this one and made sure I knew the coords, and then made my way back up, because I wanted to have a look down here as well. And it wasn't long before I got myself into another sticky wicket. Got rid of the creeper okay, but these two skellies was proving a little bit problematic. So I thought I'd get it a little bit closer. Thought that might be easier, but the terrain being very uneven made it a little bit more tricky than usual. And I do think these skellies have a little bit more AI about them than other mobs. I'm not sure, maybe it's just me. But I do know I need to work on my timing. This was terrible. Oh my goodness, and my shield was up. And the other one was coming in to join as well, so it was a two-pronged attack. So I got out the blocks again, thinking that they would come round the corner and I could smash the faces in. But unbeknown to me, they had a different plan. Look at that! Cheeky thing! And they came over the top! Oh my goodness. Look at that. And I had this one still to contend with as well. But I got him. 3 hearts. 3 hearts. Oh my goodness me. I thought it was about time to get some better armour, so I thought I'd try a strip mine. I'd heard that all the diamonds were at the bottom of the world, so that's where I headed. It was a long way. It was a very long way. And you know, sometimes when you get a mental block, or maybe it's just me, maybe it's not a thing, but I'd got down to -59 and somehow deduced that I needed another stack of ladders. I don't know why. I just did. So back up I went. And on my way back to make them, I thought I might be able to grab a little company. I had some bones from them skellies. First time. There was another one over here as well, so I tried that one. But this one proved to be a little bit more greedy. So having run out of bones for the time being, I had to just be satisfied with one. So I made sure he was sat somewhere where I could find him. And I needed to think of a name. But I definitely wasn't short of name tags. I'd found a few already, so that was good. So I got my ladders and back down I went. Chewed on a bit of steak, which went on for much longer than it should have done. And I felt quite weary at the thought of placing another stack of ladders. But down I went regardless. I just needed one more block to realise my mistake. That was bedrock. I was actually at the bottom of the world. I don't know. What am I like? So, having been refreshed at the surprise of not having to dig down anymore, I got to work making the place bigger so I could place down some chests and a crafting table. And it wasn't long before I was pleasantly surprised again. Diamonds. And quite a few of them. If only I had a fortune pick. But never mind, you've got to get your first few diamonds to be able to enchant, go to the nether, and have a chance of getting an ender chest. So once I'd done one side, I started on the other, and there was another pocket of diamonds. I couldn't believe it. I thought, is this what it's like then, down near bedrock? Diamonds everywhere? Maybe it was just me being lucky. I've no idea. And as I cleared the blocks away, I was contemplating there being more than 3 just there. There's another. Another behind that one. And another behind that one. So that was a good little pocket as well. I wish I'd have saved it for my fortune pick, actually. But never mind. And I hadn't even started strip mining. That was just clearing out the way to get my chests in. And I stuffed my inventory full of stuff to take back with me. And there was Doggy patiently waiting for me. And he had a few more bones in my inventory, so I was wondering if that Doggy that I tried to get earlier was still around. And then I spotted it. And I tried my luck. And it only took 2, so I needed to find 2 names now. Oh dear. So I was quite chuffed with my yield of diamonds from that little exercise of setting up the strip mine. It proved quite profitable. But I really needed to get on with getting some farms down and getting some animals as well. Because I needed leather for an enchant setup, and I'd got 1 cow. So I had to go and find another one. And if I remember correctly, there was one not too far away. And it didn't take me long to find it. And it was very well behaved. And in between doing the bits of farming, I tried my hand with the Enderman as often as I could. And this one didn't have a dirt block. So I was fairly hopeful that I actually might get a result this time. And on this occasion, I was rewarded. Awesome. So after that initial book collecting and breeding the cows so they were actually bursting out of their pen, I had enough to make an enchantment setup. But I still needed levels, so I went back caving for a bit. Spotted some more diamonds. As I went towards it, some more diamonds popped out at me. I couldn't believe all these diamonds I were finding. It was ridiculous. Some more up there. There were 2 lots up there. But I found in the surface caves, they sort of were intermittent, just 1 or 2. They weren't the big pockets they were down near bedrock. So that was interesting. And with diamond pick in hand, I decided it was time to get some obsidian. The nether was calling. I spotted a patch of surface lava on the dim map, so I went out to procure some obsidian. And I think everybody will agree it's quite a tedious business. But my mind went wandering while I was doing this, and I did much more than I intended. But it would all come in handy. But I was glad to get to my last block. I just had to finish that top layer. So it was into the nether I went. Deep breath, stepped in, and hoped for the best. Well, cross fingers just did not do the job. And I found myself in a basalt delta. But, luckily, I'd brought some blocks, started plugging up the lava. And very glad I didn't hear any squelchy noises. So I thought I'd staircase down in the hope of meeting land. But I soon found out I was quite unlucky on that score as well. Oh dear. Oh dear. That was in one direction. In fact, it was the wrong direction because it was eastward and it would have taken me to the border. So I tried another direction. in the hope that I'll be a bit luckier this time. But as you can see, I wasn't lucky there either. I did see a warped forest and I wanted to get to it. So I shimmied along the side for a little while in the hope that I could see something to get to. But I wasn't lucky there either. Oh my goodness me. So I had a thought. I thought maybe if I go halfway up the stairs, I could actually get into that area up there. So up I went, about halfway up, and I started digging this way. There were some quite big chasms, but also across the way there were places I could actually block to, so it wasn't too bad. I must say my hands were a little bit sweaty at this point though. But as I got further on, I was quite lucky in finding another piece of land to block to. That warp forest was getting closer though, so I was getting really excited. I was going to get there, keeping my eye on that magma as I continued blocking my way forward, block by block, and keeping my little pinky on that shift key. And it was a relief when I got over solid ground, I can tell you. And as I made my way forward, forever in my mind was the task of making the way rascal safe. Because why not make it safe? I have no idea why people trip through the nether expecting people to follow them when the ceiling is wide open to gas and all sorts falling on your head. And there I was in the warped forest. Awesome. Now I needed to know how to get back as well, because this isn't where I was going to stop. I was looking for a fortress, because I needed those blaze rods. And then I spotted Bluggy, and so I asked if he knew of a fortress nearby. He was trading with a piglin. Good idea. I think I might have a go at that. But unfortunately, he didn't know of one in the vicinity. So I had a little look around in the hope that I could spot one, but I couldn't. There was nothing. So I made sure that the path was safe, and I knew how to get back to it. And then I went on the lookout for a piglin to do a little bit of trading myself. Now, I wasn't very confident I'd get anything good, but I thought I'd have a go, because you never know. He took absolutely ages staring at this piece of gold, and then he chucked me 2 leather. Okay, we'll try again. There you go. It's hard to stand still in the nether and not wonder what's behind you. Now, that was nice. Fire resistance. Very nice. So I tried again. And got some Soul Speed 3 boots. Awesome. And I sort of gave up when he started throwing me gravel. So after some inquiries and help from Smorpheus locating it on the map, I headed north to find said fortress. It was a long way, and it was going to be a long dig, but I was determined to get there. So I started. And it wasn't all plain sailing. I had to block over very precarious places. Quite a few of them, actually. And I endeavoured to make them all rascal safe. Thankfully, there was no crimson forest in my path, and I made it okay across a small patch of soul sand. It would have been quicker with those boots on, but I never even thought of that. Another basalt delta, and it always seems a little bit more tense when you hear a ghast in the distance. But you just have to keep going. And then it was there, right in front of me. I can't tell you how excited I was. I'd actually made it. I'd actually got here. Well, not quite. So, very tentatively, making my way towards it, I had to figure out a way to get down. But it wasn't very easy with gas throwing balls at you. So I made a hasty retreat. And with gas on one side and magma cubes on the other, it suddenly felt like a much more dangerous place. So I opted for a more enclosed space and was very, very glad to see Zella's face saying hello on a bit of the fortress. Made me feel very safe. But he was soon off. And I was quite alone again, with all the nether critters. So not wanting to do just half a job, I made sure that the entrance to the fortress from my tunnel was going to be safe. Rascal safe. And I made sure there was a sign to say so. Next, I needed to do a bit of exploring, and it wasn't long before I came across the lovely site of Netherwart. So I farmed a load and replanted for the next person, like you would, and made my way further into the fortress. I was looking for a spawner. Came across a magma cube, and there was some magma cream on the floor. I had to get that. Oh, and there was the spawner. So, I couldn't do anything about it now. I had nothing. I needed to go back and get some blocks. And on my way back, got some soul sand. Because of course you need soul sand for your elevators. And I exhausted my shovel in the process. So back I went, before any gas got me. Back at the village, the golems were having a little party with some intruders. Haha. Very good, very good. Oh, another one up there. Oh, and I spotted another enderman up there as well. So I tried to get his attention. Because I still needed some ender pearls. So I got his attention by poking him in the eye with my cursor and quickly got in my little hovel. And along he came. And he had a block of dirt. Well, actually, it was grass, not dirt. And there I was, my timing out of sync again. I don't know if that was because of all the work I'd done in the nether. So I stood back and just kept whacking my sword. And eventually, I got another reward. Awesome. I didn't go back to the nether immediately. I thought I'd try my hand with some of these villagers and see if I could get something good. Power 3 was very tempting. Sharpness 4, that was tempting as well. Look of the sea 2, that wasn't. And flame. So I tried my luck at the enchantment table. Unbreaking, it could be anything. It was silk touch. I was really chuffed with that. At least I could mine my diamonds. I had another go. Efficiency 4. That sounded promising. I went with it, but I just got efficiency 4. So I decided to put that on my silk touch pick. And I thought it'd be a good idea to put that respiration book on my helmet. There's a lot of underwater caves around. And then I struck gold. Mending. And it was only 12. That was awesome. I decided to lock that one in. And I would have preferred to have had a fortune pick to put that on, but unfortunately I didn't. So I went and put it on my silk touch pick. And I had thoughts that it wouldn't be long before we had an XP farm. So it was back to the nether. So full of blocks and a fire resist potion. I felt quite confident that I could get probably a couple of blaze rods from this. And it started off really, really well. I got myself organised and I placed blocks in just the right places to get it covered in super quick time. However, it was very unfortunate that I didn't notice that my fire resist was running out. I was counting blaze rods at the time, so I focused on the job at hand, not realising that I was running out of time. I was getting those blocks placed, and there seemed to be a little bit of a lull in the activity from the blaze spawner. So I was feeling fairly confident. And then it all went terribly wrong. I hadn't realised, but I wasn't using my shield. I had no fire resist. And I went back in to get another blaze rod. What was I thinking? What was I doing? Well, I was dying. Oh my goodness me. I think I can honestly say there's nothing more glorious than finding all your bits and pieces on the floor and the sound of them all popping in your inventory as you get them all back. Well, after dying, I was a bit nervous about getting back without dying again. But I must admit that ghast irritated me because he was just taking advantage of a frightened soul. So I thought, I'm getting you, matey. So I got my bow and arrow, I took careful aim, and I shot him right in the face. What a wonderful moment. So I had 2 ender chests. How wonderful, twice as much inventory space. That was going to go a long way. And I also had some potions of fire resist. Well, you can't use mending without XP, so an XP farm was next on my agenda. I found a little tutorial on YouTube that was a little bit different to one I'd done before, and it looked quite good, so I thought I'd try that out. The basics were more or less the same. You had your 9x9 room, and you had your water, and you had your spawner elevated over the water, and then you had to chop all these bits out, and it was this bit that was a little bit different because I used fences. And I'd never used those before in a skelly farm, so I thought that was quite interesting. Get your signs in to hold the water back, and then make your tunnel for the water elevator, pushes them up. And then you make your little tunnel for them to go across. And then your little tunnel for them to come down again. Easy peasy. There were a few holes to fill up though, with this sort of cave system. There was bound to be. There doesn't seem to be much that's totally solid. On my way back to get some hoppers, I noticed a pesky fox has eaten all my chickens. I won't elaborate on what happened next. We'll just move right on, shall we? So I got my hoppers and my soul sand. I put a couple of chests down because there's always lots of drops from a skelly farm. Not that I'll be using it for a long time, it's just sort of like a starter thing. Because I'm sure there'll be lots of massive XP farms around the place soon enough. But this will do for a starter. So I needed to put my soul sand in there. I needed to get up and take all these ladders down. Place the water on top so that it ran down and pushed the skellies down the other hole. Then I needed to get down in here, take the ladders out, watch the water come down as well, which worked out very nicely actually. Then when I got to the bottom, I just placed the kelp and ran it all the way up. It was quite good at sucking the skeletons in actually, that. So kelp all the way up to the top. And then coming all the way down again to break the kelp at the bottom. And once the kelp's broken, all you need to do is break the box to continue the water right down to the water elevator. There you go. Nice. And then last thing was to take the torches off the spawner. And straight away it began working, of course. And we just needed to wait and see whether the skellies would make it down to the killing room. And they did. Awesome. Take my kelp back, that'll come in handy again. Oh yes, very good. Fortune 3. Awesome. I'll take it. It was about time to build a little house, whilst I was deciding on a more permanent place to settle. So I went with one of my typical little cottages that I've made a lot of just lately. I quite like these, because they're very unassuming little cottages and they're very pretty. And I quite like building them. And I know what I'm doing with them because I've built them so often. I do experiment a little bit with different blocks, different colours on these cottages, and I can do them fairly quickly when I'm not being disturbed by the local mob population and the local animal population. Oh, give over, he deserved that. It was my house, not his. Where was I? As I was saying, I can build these fairly quickly. They're alright for a little starter home. But I have been known to build them bigger. But of course you have to design the roof then for them to still retain that sort of cuteness about them. Because if the roof's not the right size or the shape, it just does not work. And this time I'm experimenting with deep slate bricks. And they seem to be looking okay. I should be putting some colour variation in this roof though. It won't just be this plain brick for the whole roof. There are other types of deep slate blocks, so I should be putting some of those in. That creeper tried very hard to blow my house up. down there playing hide and seek. But I got him in the end. Nearly about ready to check the shape. There we go. Excellent. Now just to repeat that on both sides, fill in the bits in between, and then it'll be time for more woodwork. I quite like mixing the dark wood with the light wood of the birch. It reminds me of the old Tudor style houses, and I was looking for that type of cottagey house for my Let's Play series, and this is what I came up with. And I haven't really deviated much from this for quite some time. And incorporating the stripped birch gives quite a lot of variation to the wood, which I quite like. Nice. I always like a little upstairs as well to put my bed and the stairs. There we go. One bed, bit of lighting, some windows, lovely jubbly. I like the stairs to look like they're supported as well. And then the front porch. There we go, job is a good one. And now, for a bit of variation. Wow, those creepers. And now for the chimney to go on. And then we'll pretty it up with a little bit of green stuff. There we go. Let's have a look. I love it. Well, it's time to get these diamonds and see how many I've got. I've been saving them. Ooh, another few pockets like that. I should be blinging. Well, that pesky fox got my chickens again. So I had to do something different. This just wasn't working. So I had to go for a proper covered chicken coop. Those pesky foxes, honestly. So I made it from a mix of birch and oak. I think for this kind of thing it goes well together. I don't know why people don't like birch. I quite like using it. I think it turned out okay. You can get lots of chickens in there. It's not too much of an eyesore, I don't think. And then I repopulated the chicken population. And of course it didn't take too long before there were loads of chickens in here. There's a poke in the eye for those pesky foxes. I also went out to get a bee's nest the other day. And I'm harvesting the cones every now and then so we can get a collection of combs and make some more hives. Because we're going to have a bee farm. Another idea I had as well was to make a sort of a little pond down here. I thought I'd cover this hole and make a pond. I thought that'd go quite well with the cottage. And I've always liked the sound of flowing water. So I set to work, and I was running out of time to show you me making the pond, so I've cut to the chase. And just showed you the last little bit of getting the waterfall in. And I stuffed it full of greenery. I had thought I'd put some oxalotls in here, but I haven't found one yet, so I'm hoping that I shall find a couple sooner or later. And I think I've made it axolotl safe, I think. Although I'm not entirely sure if it might benefit for chopping down some of these bamboo. They've grown a little bit too tall, I think. Now then, it's that time to put my bling on. There we go. And my boots. Put my diamonds away. And here I am with all my bling on. Now then, Hojop posted this picture of a hole near where he lives. And I just had to go and have a look at it because that's exactly the sort of hole I was looking for. So I set off quite excitedly to have a look at said hole in a hope that it would be exactly the one that I wanted. It was a bit of a journey, as you can imagine, because it was quite a way across the map. In fact, it was directly south of where we spawned into the world when the game first started. So it'd be interesting to see where this is. It looked like it was in a plains, and it looked like the size and shape of something I was looking for a build idea I'd had for a while. So I was quite excited to journey across the map and have a look. Passing all these wondrous things that people were building. I have no idea what these are, but they're big. And these were just started within a few days of the server opening. I felt like I had to peer into every hole on my journey. Some of them were quite spectacular. And the big buildings weren't just on land, they were on sea as well. Just look at that. I can't wait to see what people get up to. I really can't. We're just about reaching the mainland now that this hole is in. So the rest of the journey is mostly over land, with a few little rivers along the way. There's quite a few starter bases cropping up as well, as people start their builds. And some of them are really nice. I was tempted, very tempted, to look inside and around them. I hope that's not a spoiler. I hope it isn't. I tried not to look at any others. There was another little build there, but I managed to steer away from it. But I will be featuring people's builds in future episodes. So I got really excited at this point because I knew that it was somewhere here. That looked like the hill that Hojop described. And there it was. And it looked just like the hole I was looking for. And I just thought, yes, this will do nicely, thank you. I could not stop looking at it and thinking of all the possibilities. I have got a plan in my head, and the more I look at it, the more things are coming into my head. Wow, can't wait to get started. But I've got to do all that I've just done all over again here. So I made some signs and I've made my claim, and this has now become my hole. In the last episode, we went from A to B. In this episode, we've gone from B to C. And this will be where I'll be seeing you in the next episode. Bye bye.